Good evening. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge and a moment of silence. Roll call. Here.
Here.
Ramsey is out for personal reasons. We did hold an executive session since the last meeting, November 10th, for legal purposes. Anyone in the audience that would like to address the board?
Okay, can you hear me? Is it on? All right. Before I start, I have a policy discussion I want to make. I think there's a policy that we have that might be misinterpreted, or the policy just might be broken and needs to be fixed. I know there's a 5-minute limit. I've tried as hard as I can to keep it under 5 minutes. No matter how fast I talk, I can't do it. So I'm asking for maybe a few extra minutes if that's okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. A principal had a meeting with a substitute teacher, told the substitute teacher that there are some students that had some complaints about them. There was a parent that was very upset and demanded that something to be done to that teacher or that substitute. Substitute said, "Hey, what's this all about?" Principal says, I'm not sure. We need to do an investigation. Just hang tight. While the investigation is going on, you can't sub at this school anymore. But you can sub at all the other schools without any issues. Okay, so hang tight. 8 days later, there was a meeting between HR and the substitute. HR informed the substitute that the investigation has been complete. And as a result, that substitute can no longer substitute at that particular school as long as the students that made the accusations were in that school. Once those students graduate and move on to another grade, another school in the district, the substitute can substitute all they want. Also, there's no restriction on substituting anywhere else in the in the school district. No problem. So substitute says, well, hold on. Up until now, no one has told me what I'm being accused of. Says, well, I'm really not sure. I can't see anything in the investigation, but I have some notes here. You've been accused of a few things, 2 of which are pretty serious. Substitute says, no way, didn't happen. I want to see the investigation. No. Wait a second. I'm the subject of the investigation. I didn't know what I was being accused of until just now. I never got a chance to see any of the evidence against me. I didn't get a chance to refute any of that evidence. I didn't get a chance to submit my own evidence in my defense. I want to see the investigation. No. Why not? It's board policy. Supposedly, it's board policy that investigations are kept secret from the subject of that investigation. Now, we don't know what the investigation said because it's sealed, but we can make some assumptions here based on the actions taken against this substitute or the actions not taken. If the investigation found that the 2 serious accusations were in any way true, there was no way that that substitute would be allowed to substitute anywhere in the district. We wouldn't let that substitute near our children, but that's not the case. So they're allowed to substitute everywhere, and only they're restricted in that one school while those students are there. So we have to assume that the investigation found absolutely no truth to the serious accusations, which means the students must have made it up. Or if you prefer, they lied. Now, if the students were less than honest on very serious accusations, you can assume that they're probably less than honest on any smaller accusations. Okay? So The question is, if that's the case, then why was this substitute punished at all? And to find the answer to that question, all you have to do is look at the history of Spring Grove and how they've handled cases like this in the past. Could it be that the substitute was punished even just a little bit so we could go to the parent and say, look, we know you're upset. We know you wanted something done to this substitute. Look what we did. We did something to this substitute. We complied with your demands. So you okay? You satisfied? Good. Not going to sue us? Thank God. Then we can go to the students and say, hey, look, you wanted this substitute gone. That's what we did for you. We made sure that that substitute can no longer, will never be able to sub while you're in this school. Okay. So it seems that when we handle these type of cases, as long as the parent is happy and the sub is happy, everything is good in Spring Grove. But what about the substitute? What about previous substitutes? What about previous teachers? What about principals? What about them? Seems the attitude is, well, you know, that's unfortunate. I guess they were just in the wrong school with the wrong kids at the wrong time. Now, what kind of effect does this have on Spring Grove? It probably affects the most career teachers. Their job is here, their career is here. They see what's going on, especially the ones who've been around a while. They've watched this movie before many times and they know how it ends. They know every day they can walk into a school and if a student has an issue with them, that student can accuse them of anything. And if a parent is upset and demands something be done to that teacher knows more likely than not, their neck is going to be on the chopping block. And they're going to be a sacrificial lamb dragged to the altar of the parent. Now, this creates, what does this do to these teachers? They'll tell you. If you ask them, a number of them will say, if I got a student that's disrupting, disobeying, being very disrespectful, gets a pass to go to the bathroom, spends the rest of the period wandering the halls, gets caught vaping in the bathroom, thumbs their nose to the dress code, drops the F-bomb all over the place, that teacher will tell you, I'm not doing a damn thing. I'm not touching this with a 10-foot pole. I'm going to turn a blind eye. I don't see anything because I'm going to be retiring in a few years. And until then, I'm keeping my head down, flying under the radar, and I'm not risking it. I'm going to get out of here unscathed. And that's the atmosphere that has permeated through Spring Grove in the past few years. There is a perception in Spring, whether you believe it or not, that leadership doesn't have their backs. And whether you believe that you say, no, they do have their backs, that's not relevant. That's not important. That's not relevant. What's relevant is the perception exists. And it's up to leadership to correct that perception. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a long time. So this is what needs to happen. I think the board are the ones that can start to solve this. That whenever they need to either modify an existing policy or create another one that states, whenever a student accuses anyone in Spring Grove, whether it be a regular employee or an at-will, whenever a student accuses anyone in Spring Grove, we must take all of these accusations seriously. And I think we do. I don't think anyone can argue that we don't take those seriously. Absolutely. They should be taken seriously. But the accusation, the investigation, everything after that should have one goal, and that's to find the truth, whatever that truth ends up being. Basically, the investigations should happen like they normally do, and I'm sure they're done very well and they're complete. But they have to be done fairly. They have to make sure that all involved are treated fairly. So the board, once the investigation is done, that investigation needs to go to the board. The board needs to review that investigation for fairness. They need to make sure that the accused knew what they were being accused of up front. They saw the evidence against them. They were able to refute that evidence and provide their own evidence in their defense. And most importantly, the board needs to make sure that this whole process is done without any regard for whether there's a parent really upset and demanding heads roll. That should never be part of this process. And the board needs to start with the case that I talked about this evening. The board needs to get a copy of that investigation, needs to review it, needs to make sure that the investigation gets to the accused no, I'm sorry, not accused, convicted and sentenced substitute in this case. They have a chance to, again, review it, refute it, and provide their own evidence. Okay? And then the board has to make sure and check to whether or not the actions taken in this case were just. Okay, thank you. I know I went over my time. I'll be around after in case any board member has any questions for me, or if anyone else has any questions for me.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to address the board at this time? Right, seeing none, we are going to move to our student representative report with Miss Little.
Thank you. So first is Spring Grove Elementary. The trunk or treat happened October 28th, where the high school students put together a trunk or treat with candy along with a movie. The whole community got to come together. It was an amazing event. SGE PTO had their first meeting November 6th. Fill the Bus campaign started November 18th. Boxes were distributed throughout the school to classrooms. Then second graders had a fun field trip event November 20th. SGE PTO again this year had the Little Shoppers event where students could shop for siblings and parents. The high school got involved and helped the little shoppers as they shopped and also wrapped gifts. Next is Paradise. So Paradise was also involved in the trunk or treat event October 28th. Friday, November 14th was a project team day. Students got to wear their leadership shirts to show involvement at the school. PTO fundraiser was at Little Caesars with no donations going to the school. PTO book fair was November 19th, and then the Scholastic book fair with families was at night. Then New Salem. Students at New Salem are continuing to work hard and doing a terrific job demonstrating many of the project team traits on a regular basis. Students are being recognized for their efforts and are quickly approaching their goal of 7,500 tokens. To reward them, there was a school-wide project team celebration on Friday, October 31st with an afternoon fall-themed bingo. Then parent-teacher conferences started November 6th, helping teachers, students, and parents all feel connected and show what amazing things students are doing. New Salem had a project team day Friday, November 7th. K through 4 had a free family workshop on November 13th. PTO held a skate night at Magic Elm on November 18th. November 20th was a family fun night with crafts, games, free food, and Thanksgiving meals that they could take home. Next is the intermediate school. So SGI was invited to the trunk or treat event October 28th. SGI fall retake pictures happened November 5th for 5th and 6th graders. NHS boxes for Fill the Bus were distributed into classrooms, and students are excited about collecting and donating canned goods. There was a PTO fundraiser that ended today, and sales will be picked up at the Popcorn Loft in December. Next, for the middle school, 7th through 12th had a meeting held at the high school on November 6th to discuss winter sports. The Minithon Club is communicating to the high school, working together to create the Minithon Pep Rally for students to get more information on what Minithon is, what are the benefits, and why we do it. It's very beneficial for the 7th graders as it's their first year being able to attend. The assembly kickoff will be December 5th. Then, along with Minithon, they're also doing a candle sale. Fill the Bus boxes were set in classrooms, and student council members are helping to decorate the Spring Grove tree in the circle. And then last, the high school. November 12th was National Honor Society inductions, where students who represent character, scholarship, service, and leadership were inducted into the club. It was a special night for that families and students got to celebrate. Student Council held a Chipotle fundraiser November 15th. Spring Grove students during Mission Control created thank you cards to local first responders. Then Student Council members all made cookies to give to all the local first responders during the week of November 17th to the 21st. Then NHS started the annual Fill the Bus on November 18th. All boxes were distributed to all schools and classrooms. Student Council helped out in the community by going to Windy Hill November 12th for Veterans Day, and then November 20th for Thanksgiving meal event where we handed out food. More Career Center happenings are available for students at the high school to help narrow down their career goals. Speaking off my personal experience, I got to go to UPMC on Saturday, November 22nd with a couple other students from Spring Grove, and physically being able to be in the hospital setting determined my decision on my career path. So all of these opportunities for students are so beneficial, not only going to career centers, but also giving out free college tours for students. And then last, the school play happened November 21st through November 23rd, and it sounds like the cast had a great show. Thank you.
Thank you, Cameron. Turning it over to Dr. Renault for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Rachel. And first, I'd like to start off by introducing Chelsea Slate. And if Chelsea, if you want to stand, I will now refer to her as Dr. Chelsea Slate, fourth grade teacher at New Salem, who earned her Doctor of Education in Educational Leadership from Liberty University. Dr. Slate successfully defended her dissertation, quote, recommendations to improve the implementation of teaching strategies in English language arts for fourth grade students with individualized education plan at Spring Grove Area School District in Pennsylvania, unquote, on October 21st. You probably have that date stuck in here. Also, I would like to ask you, Chelsea, congratulations. And would you like to introduce, I know there's 3 people here that I'm sure you would like to introduce. Do you want to share anything about your doctorate other than that it's over and it's finished and you want to move on with life? Awesome. Congratulations, Chelsea. Congratulations. Congratulations to the competition cheerleading team, the high school competition cheer team, who brought home 2 top placements over the weekend at the UCA regional competition. The team earned first place in the small non-tumbling division and second place in the medium non-tumbling game day division. These placements earned the team bids to the UCA Cheerleading Nationals in Orlando, Florida. At the end of January, Nationals is one of the most prestigious cheer events in the country, and qualifying represents a significant accomplishment for their program. Congratulations to the team and the coaches, Hannah Petrucci and Janelle Newark. Also, congratulations to the sideline cheer team. Spring Grove Athletics is proud to highlight outstanding achievements of student athletes, both in the field and in the classroom. This year marked the launch of the All Academic Team Award to be presented at the end of each sports season, and sideline cheer was named the inaugural Fall 2025 All Academic Team. This team was recognized as having the highest average GPA, emphasizing the importance of academic excellence alongside athletic performance. Congratulations to these student athletes and the coach, Emily Gingras. And Mrs. Baum, I think you had something to do with getting that organized at some point, someone said. Good for you. Well, seeds tend to grow. So that's awesome. And we'll have another winner at the end of the winter sports season. Each sports season will have a winner from there. York Adams Academy graduates, as part of the partnership that we have with York Adams Academy, we would like to congratulate our most recent graduates, and they are Marianne Shovaker. She is still considering her next steps. Leah Hoops, who is considering the Academy for Media Production to specialize in photography. And finally, Caitlin Crichton, who is also leaving her options open at this point. Congratulations to those 3 graduates. Over the past 2 weeks, our Spring Grove string players have participated in 2 honors festivals throughout the local area. The Pigeon Hills String Invitational featured top players in grades 5 through 8 from Spring Grove, Hanover, Southern York, Southwestern, and Conewago Valley school districts. On November 14th, the students rehearsed together for the first time with local directors and then performed 5 pieces of music at a concert at New Oxford Middle School. Participating from SGI were Ashlyn Amick, Eden Finn, Ben Marsh, Lillian Gribe, Dyson McPherson, Gwendolyn Richards, Griffin Schaefer, Alyssa Shearer, and Aubrey Workus. From the middle school were Zephaniah Barshinger, Mark Enslin, Sage Freed, Emily Howard, Emma Lewis, Josephine Rafferty, Samuel Tackett, Charlotte Tome, Grayson Rick, Ella Workus, and Molly Young. Congratulations to those folks. The York County High School Orchestra Festival included top players from all over York County. On November 22nd, students had the opportunity to work with the director of Messiah University, Dr. Timothy Dixon. They presented a concert at Northern High School. These folks that were selected from Spring Grove were Ellie Kessler, Brian Myers, Logan Shearer, Julia Taggett, and Hope Vogue. So congratulations to those students. Elementary level, I don't know if I think most of you are familiar with Project Team, and the H sort of stands for Helpful Harper, easy to say. And there were over 80 students that were recognized publicly with pictures on the website and so forth. I'm not going to read all their names. I know you all just breathed a sigh of relief, but they will all get letters from the board congratulating them on this accomplishment. Again, it's the 3K4 buildings. At the high school, 48 of our juniors and seniors were recently inducted into the National Honor Society during a ceremony held on Wednesday, November 12th. Congratulations to them for achieving this distinction. As we know, the holiday season is upon us, and that means planning concerts. We got a list of dates at the last time. Also look at the website for details. The Fill Bus campaign was already mentioned. I won't bring that up too much, but send your food in. Fall sports are officially over, as we know, but the winter season is underway. The first official winter competition is the bowling team on Monday, December 1st, and others that day, but that's the first one officially listed. Congratulations to all these folks. And so, you know, the board will send a letter. I send on behalf of the board to congratulate these various people, students as well as adults, and Dr. Slade. Thank you. Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you. No worries. The only correspondence I have here is the script for reorganization, just for reference, so everyone is prepared for your December 2nd meeting. Moving on to the legislative update, tossing it back to Dr. Renault.
At the pleasure of the board, I have this 50-page PowerPoint that I'd like to share, but I'm going to lay this over here next to Rachel and she can decide what we do with that. I've summarized it in some talking points. As you know, the state budget was not an easy task this year for the legislature, and we're very glad that everyone came together and passed it, because we're not talking about what happens when money runs out. We can now start focusing on what it is that we do, and that's educate children. So financially for Spring Grove, I'm just going to give 5 highlights. Very simple. There's more coming, and then Mark has told me at the December Budget and Finance Committee. So they're going to hear more details of this, but these are the highlights. We have a slight increase in basic education funding of about $30,000. We have a special education funding increase of about $71,000. And all other revenue sources remain relatively stable. This is what we know as of now. And as far as teacher certifications, some of you may know some of this. They expanded the present system from K4, 4 through 8, 7 through 12, to now pre-K through 6 and 7 through 12. So it gives teachers and administrators and schools the opportunity to have a broader pool of people to select from or to be a part of. So it gives a lot more flexibility as we choose teachers. The cyber charter reform, many moving parts. As you can imagine, it was one of the major parts, sticking points to this whole thing. Dollars and cents, that's not all out there, but there's 2 very important things that I can share with you without going too far into the details. But there is a tightening of the residency requirements. As you know, maybe you don't, but sometimes people sort of say they live at a certain place and they really don't. And we have actually people in our district that will go out and hunt people down. I don't mean that in a negative way, but truly verify, because we are responsible for all the children's education that live in our district, but not for those that don't. So that's a very big, important job of Chrissy Kenny, if you happen to know her. But also it's very important for us because the business office will get charged for every cyber school student that exists. And cyber schools, I don't mean to be general, I guess I am stereotypical, are typically not as concerned about where those students live as sending the bill to districts and getting paid for that. So the state has now given the districts and the cyber schools a lot more availability to make sure that that information is correct, and that ultimately will drive down costs to the public schools. The second thing is a truancy enforcement piece where the students actually have to prove that they're attending that cyber school. You know, unfortunately, it came about because a deceased student was still receiving instruction and was not, and the district was charged for many weeks beyond that death. And quite frankly, I know that's morbid, but you can see how we need to have a system that allows us to use accurate information to be billed and then pay. So again, those are just two smaller pieces, but both of them I'm hearing from authorities in power, or whatever you want to use the expression, experts, I guess, that will lead to a lot of substantial savings for the public schools. Under school and safety, additional requirements for training of school safety coordinators and frequency of meetings. I'm looking at some of them. Frequency of meetings for school leadership. In other words, more training will have to occur by law. As you know, as you may know, there's already training that's required by law, and it's going to be added to that so that we can continue to be as safe as we can. Last but not least, the main sections was reading instruction. You may have seen something about requirements for districts to adopt an evidence-based reading program and include a minimum of 3 reading assessments in K-3 with provisions for PDE monitoring. That last phrase is always fun. PDE monitoring, that means monitoring teams. As you know, Title I comes out from time to time, and it's a big deal to be monitored. It's a tremendous amount of work, but we have always done very, very well in that. We aren't quite sure, the devil's in the details of what an evidence-based reading program is in the eyes of this law or PDE. We are very confident of our reading program. It's evidence-based. We just don't know how we're going to be required to prove that to the powers to be. And that's under Steve's world, and he obviously will be keeping a focus on that as the months ahead. A lot of this was passed. Just a fun fact that came out of it. I was reading this. I don't know if you all went to, or how many of you went to the football game of New Oxford, and I'm walking in and there's the 4 lines to check in, and over here it said cash only. And I'm like, this is a district game. How did that happen? Well, according to the state budget, PIAA is now mandated to provide cash options at all their district games. So that now is behind us. So in the future, when we make districts this year in our winter sports, we won't have to worry about going online and getting our tickets. We can pay by cash. I say that, and that I'm not arguing the point. I'm just saying that's how far in the details I could take you if you really wanted to read the rest of this. So at that point, I'll entertain any questions, but that's all I have for right now.
Confirming, part of the budget that was passed included a reduction in cyber charter and cyber charter tuition that we owe. Is that correct? So we're seeing a decrease in cost per students that leave the district to go to charter or cyber charter.
It is my understanding, I have 2 business people staring at me right now, but it's my understanding that was not that black and white, and that did not occur exactly the way you just asked the question. Am I correct, Jen and Mark?
You mentioned we'll have a lot more information at the Budget and Finance meeting.
It's a great question, but
That's all that I had. Does anybody else?
Was there
I
any,
know.
was there any reduction that we are aware of, or was it not necessarily that black and white? Because in terms of what we owe per student.
So there were further deductions. It's not on. Okay. There were some additional deductions that we can do when we're running the calculation. The problem is it's based on our budgeted numbers. So our 25, 26 budget numbers, like our budget went up. So the costs were already higher than last year. So we're seeing a slight decrease in what was originally calculated, but it wasn't to the extent that we thought we would see. So if I'm doing a rough calculation, we might see a savings of somewhere between 60 and 80,000. It's something, but it's not what we were hoping for.
Yeah, because they're really touting, like, on their social media, like Shapiro he did a whole video of like, we reduced cost for any charter school entity. And I don't feel like that the devil's in the details, obviously. So.
Like the biggest deductions where we can now deduct our tax collections, that, the money we pay to tax collectors, or the fees that we pay for York Adams and the county, we can now deduct that. We can deduct 60% of our facility and operations cost and 60% of our student activities. But the deductions really just didn't equate to the dollars we were hoping for. So.
Thank you. Anyone else have questions regarding the budget? All right. York County School of Technology with Mr. Ritz.
I don't have much to report. Our meeting is tomorrow night, but a very key thing on the agenda is their budget is including a 6.78% increase to the 14-member district. So I'm definitely very curious of where that discussion may lead or whatever, but that's about all I have. I'll have more after tomorrow's meeting.
Yep, thank you. York Adams Academy with Mrs. Baum.
The York Adams Academy is not meeting in November, but we have our reorganizational meeting in December. We currently have 6 Spring Grove students taking classes, with 4 slated to graduate in January.
Thank you.
I'm gonna question for Mike, and maybe you get some insight into this. The 6.7% is what you said, 6.8%. How does that discussion happen? I know eventually it'll come to us, and I think we have to vote yes or no on that. But is that something that like you're kind of negotiating for? Like, I'm assuming conversations are happening at some of these meetings, and so are you kind of negotiating for Spring Grove at that point? Talking about driving? I don't know. So that conversation happens tomorrow. Good.
All right, moving on to special committee reports, the YMCA of the Roses board meeting with Mr. Stiles.
Thank you. The branch board of the YMCA, the Roses of Spring Grove, met at 5:30 on the 11th of November. The renovation project is progressing well. Finishes are advancing. Ceiling inspections are underway. Floor installations are in progress. The fire alarm system is approximately 80% complete. The door installations are ongoing. Project remains on schedule. Substantial completion mid-January, with occupancy expected upon completion of the site work. Opening of registration for the branch is expected to happen after the first of the year. And 2 activities coming up in December are tree lighting in Spring Grove on December the 4th and Santa event at Little Creek Park, December the 12th. Next meeting is January 13th.
Thanks, Bill. Anyone have any questions? Okay, moving on. Motion to approve the official minutes as listed. Second, all in favor? Moving to the treasurer's report with Mr. White.
Good evening. Treasurer's report for the month ending October of 2025. General fund checking, 32,675,000. Nutrition service fund, 1,468,000. Capital reserve fund, 1,485,000. And then we have our bond fund at 7,870,000. And then we have our student activities fund. This would be your elementaries, intermediate, middle school, high school of $176,147. So moved.
Second, roll call vote on treasurer's report.
Yeah.
Yes. Moving on to departmental reports, business and finance reports, first with budget and finance.
Budget and Finance Board actions requested. A, accounts payable list. Approval of the October accounts payable as presented, 1 through 7 as listed. B, temporary construction easement agreement. Approval of the attached temporary construction easement agreement between the Spring Grove Area School District, YMCA of the Roses, granting the YMCA temporary construction easement for the installation of improvements included as part of the approval final land development plan on the Spring Grove Area School District property and according to the terms, conditions, timeline stated in the agreement. C, accelerated budget opt-out resolution. Adoption of the attached resolution certifying that the 26-27 fiscal year budget will be funded based on maintaining the current tax rates or increasing tax rates by amount less than or equal to Act 1 index applications to the school district of 4.7%, and that the school board will comply with the rules set forth in School Code 687 for adoption of the school district proposed and final budgets for 26-27 fiscal year. D, budgetary transfers, approval of the attached October 2025 budgetary transfers for the 25-26 fiscal year. E, student activity fundraising accounts, acknowledgement of the attached list of student activity accounts eligible to raise funds during 25-26 school year, with the addition of Rocket Skills, following review at the November 10th, 25 DSF, and having met all requirements of Board Policy 229. Repurpose of obsolete instruments, approval to consider the following 6 pianos outdated, obsolete, or no longer useful so that the instruments currently located in storage at the high school can be repurposed in accordance with School Board Policy 706.1. 1 through 6 as listed. So moves Budget and Finance.
Second, any discussion? Roll
Yeah,
call.
I do.
Yep.
I'm a little, still got some concern about the temporary construction in there. I talked to Mark about it a little bit. I'm not sure why we don't have, I'm a little nervous about the 2-year, allowing him to have 2 years to do the construction. For the simple reason is I'm sure they're planning the project to be done before that. Plus, I'm just, before when we were talking about, we were always hitting on a master plan for all of our projects, because once we have one land development plan open, we were told we can't open up another one. So I don't want this project to be holding up our maintenance building if we get moving on that. So did we ever find out, is that the case? Will they hold up? If this project is not done, are they gonna hold our maintenance building?
I did check as we spoke, Mr. Shear, this project will not hold up. Or if we wanted to move forward with the maintenance or in our land development plan. The reason why this is a 2-year, why we put in a 2-year agreement is that if you remember from the land development plan and the meeting with the Jackson Township, the parking that surrounds the YMCA is in 3 phases. So the Jackson Township is requiring that the YMCA complete phase 1 and phase 2 before they will allow them to have occupancy. So that's approximately 90%, Bill, of the parking for the YMCA. So approximately 90% of the parking will be finished before they allow them to have occupancy. They said that if they determine that additional parking will be needed, there's a phase 3, which is a 70 additional spaces in some grass areas around in between the intermediate school and the middle school there. They will require the YMCA to do that. So that's why we wanted to put in a 2-year, because basically we just didn't want to come back to the board in a year from now and say, okay, now we need to go through this process again. So that's any questions on that?
Yeah, have we seen any of the plans for this spaces in between intermediate school and middle school? Did we see those plans?
Yes, yep, and that's all in the land development plan. So like I said, 90% of the spaces will be done when it has to be done in order for them to get occupancy for this building. The other 10% will have to be completed only if the township sees that the need is there. And basically, to answer the question is, how will the township determine that? If they see people parking in the grass, they see parking everywhere, they're going to come back, and that was our interpretation of the township to say we may require the YMCA to do these additional spots. So, but it will not hold up any of our additional projects.
Yeah, and as long as we have some say in that they may need to be parking in the grass, but they may be parking in spots where we need parking.
Correct.
Because Windy Hill does fill that up now pretty well over
And that was the reason for the 3 phases, to say, we know how much you need right now, and that's phase 1 and phase 2. If we see that, the YMCA is it, for a good reason, is becoming very successful during the time that the Windy Hill is there. What was determined was that that most of this parking will be enough, but they didn't know how many YMCA parkers were going to be there at the time when Windy Hill was going to be at the same time. So that's what they couldn't determine. They said, we may require you to have additional parking. So, but we will, Mr. Stiles and myself, as this project moves forward, we will keep you abreast with that. We'll make sure that everybody's parking in the designated spots. And if the township comes back to us and says, hey, they're thinking about us requiring this additional parking, we will bring that to your attention.
So if that's the case, then we can start the maintenance building, that land development plan. And then while we're involved in that land development plan, we can also start another one for the roads that we want to put in the back end of the school.
They're ready. They're all together on our plan already, not the maintenance because we don't own the land, but the other ones, they're already on our plan. We have one master plan that includes those roads. And the walk-in coolers, all that, all of those projects are on one land development plan. So none of this will have any effect with that.
That's why we did that master
Correct.
plan.
All right. Any other discussion? All right. Roll call vote on budget and finance.
Yes.
Yes. Buildings and grounds is for information only. Moving on to transportation with Mr. Ritz.
Transportation Board actions requested item A, 25-26 Christ bus van drivers, approval of the following contracted company drivers as listed. Item B, 25-26 Faithful van drivers, approval of the following contracted company drivers as listed. So moved on transportation.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call vote on transportation.
Yeah.
Yes. Moving on to management reports policy with Mrs. Baum.
Policy Board actions requested. Letter A, second reading. Approval of a second and final reading of the following policies. Policy 005, number 200, 202, 308, 607, 805.2. Letter B, first reading. Approval of a first reading of the following policies. Policy 815.2 and policy 823. Letter C, donations, acknowledgement and or acceptance of the following donations in accordance with Board Policy 702, gifts, grants, and donations as listed. So moved on Board Policy.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote on policy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Moving on to personnel with Mr. Stein.
Personnel Board actions requested. Item A, amendment to Personnel Board action, approval to upgrade the previously approved action for two temporary part-time over enrollment aid positions at 4 hours each for New Salem Elementary to one temporary 4-hour aid and one temporary 5-hour aid for coverage at the 4th grade level through the end of the 25-26 school year. Item B, retirement, acceptance of the following retirement resignation with regret after 19 and a half years of service to Spring Grove. Item 1, Elaine Wolf, data manager. Item C, resignations, acceptance of the following resignations as listed. Item D, teacher appointment, approval of the following teacher appointment. Sherilyn Young, long-term substitute. Item E, appointments, approval of following appointments as listed. Item F, classified substitute, approval of following substitutes as listed. Item G, athletics, approval of following coach for the 25-26 season. Dustin Henning, wrestling assistant coach, high school boys. So moved on personnel.
Second. Any discussion? Okay,
Oh, I'd like to have a separate motion on, a separate vote on G.
why? Mr. White.
One resignation.
Yeah, I think that's great to see the longevity of some of these people is a nice way to thank them. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I would like to see also sometime, I mentioned before about when we get people resigning, a reason why they're resigning, if they would just give us a brief thing like resign because I'm moving away or resigning because I got the craps of you or whatever it is. I just like to have, I would like to know that because just for instance, something like Mr. Treadle just brought up tonight, if something like that's going on, that's why they're doing that. I would like them to reach out and be able to talk to us and tell us that. So if we could do that in the future, I'd really appreciate it.
Hope, yes.
We do the exit surveys, as I discussed with you, to develop trends. Since the last time you asked, we had one exit survey returned. I can certainly provide the results of that if you'd like.
I want to make mandatory. I would just like to know why they're leaving. If it's a problem, why they're leaving. If we have a problem here, why they're leaving, this board needs to know that. Our staff needs to know that.
Well, because we can't fix it if we don't know.
That's right. So somehow, I don't know how to do it. I mean, I know we can't make it mandatory, but I would just really encourage them to, they're leaving anyhow. So it isn't like they have fear of their job or anything. Please communicate with us why you're leaving. If it's something just as simple, I just don't feel like working anymore, that's fine. But I would like to have some kind of idea, which I would just really appreciate it if we get that message out to them.
Yeah, and I agree. And Hope, I don't know, an exit survey, is there an exit interview? I would like there to be an interview. So that way, I know people don't like surveys a lot of times, but the interview I think should always be extended as kind of a something that happens after, if somebody resigns, period.
We do extend the exit interview. And so Tracy sent out an email when we get resignation request. She'll send an email out to schedule an interview if they'd like one, and she supplies them with the exit survey. That goes to everyone that retires and resigns. They have the retirements, it's kind of not mandatory, but we encourage all of them. The retirements, it's important for all of the benefits. We can't mandate that they schedule an appointment, but we offer the exit interview and the exit survey to everyone that resigns.
So I'm going to ask, and maybe Gareth can shed a little light on this. Can, we have a committee or a board member be a part of their exiting interview of why? So we could get a sense and just information, and we can, share it. And again, I understand it's personnel and it's private, but there are many times over the years, we all ask questions of why this individual's leaving or why they get a bad review or this or that. And it would be nice if one of us were present to hear it directly from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, Mr. White, personally, I don't view that as a board function to start attending exit interviews, depending on the issues that are discussed, what employee may raise, the nature of the issues that are raised. I would instead, see what can be done to highly encourage, incentivize people to complete that information and then figure out what information is able to be shared with the board. That I think is worthwhile. I would not recommend, though, that board members start attending individual employee exit interviews.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote on personnel.
Are we,
I totally forgot about that. Got distracted. Squirrel. All right. Roll call vote on personnel letter G.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Abstain?
Yes. Personnel, roll call vote for letters A through F.
Yes.
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 Yes. Mr. Stein, do you want to?
No, but if we're after the meeting or now would be, I would like to address what Mr. Treadle had to say to us tonight and get that ball rolling as soon as possible. Would that be possible to have an executive session about that at this meeting?
We would have to call executive session in this meeting for personnel if you would like to right now, like we did at Paradise.
I think it's important to get the ball rolling. Is that how we would handle that, Gareth? Or is that a way to get the ball rolling without us doing that?
I am not familiar with the issue, but it's a personnel issue that would have to be raised in executive session or looking to administration if it can be addressed and then followed up with the board at a later date. Again, I'm not familiar with the nature of the issue, but it would not be something we would discuss publicly.
Rodney, I'm in support. If you wanted to quickly go over there for a quick second and then come back, fine.
Right, so we will adjourn for executive session for personnel. We'll be back in a little bit. Moving on to curriculum with Mr. Barshinger.
Curriculum board actions requested. A, trip requests, approval for Rhonda Wassler, elementary IST teacher and Thespian Society chapter director, and 2 additional chaperones to accompany students to the International Thespian Society and the SG drama troupe to the International Thespian Society Thez Fest. And number 2, approval for Jason Baker and Lindsay Bechtel, high school social studies teachers, and Justice White, learning support teacher at New Salem Elementary, to accompany members of the mock trial team to the following mock trial competitions as listed. There are 3. Number 3, approval for Lacey Bayshore, high school science teacher and FFA advisor, to accompany active FFA students to the ACES FFA Leadership Conference in Harrisburg, PA. B, new high school courses, approval for the following new courses at the high school beginning with the 2026-2027 school year as listed. And C, expanded revised high school courses, approval for the following course revisions at the high school beginning with the 2026-2027 school year as listed. And so move curriculum.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call vote on curriculum.
Yes.
Yes. Athletics and music with Nicole Wilson.
Athletics and Music Board actions requested. Letter A, approval for overnight wrestling tournaments. Approval for the eligible members of the listed teams and designated chaperones to travel to and participate in the following interscholastic wrestling tournaments at the respective locations and dates indicated. There are 4 as listed. Letter B, approval for overnight PIAA championships. Approval for eligible members of the listed team and designated chaperones to travel to and participate in PIAA district and state championships at the anticipated locations and dates listed below, dependent upon qualifying student athletes for the event. There are 3 listed. So moved on athletics and music.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call vote on athletics and music.
Hold on, I have a discussion, and actually, this goes back to the other one. As far as any trip request, I personally am not going to approve any more trip requests until we get from the business department that all money is available. We always hear that they will be doing funds or this or that, but until we see that their money is there to do that trip, I will be one of saying no. So basically what I'm saying is when a trip request is put through, for example, we have one here for, chapter or whatever. And if say it's $4,800, that means that $4,800 needs to be in their account. I understand they may have fundraising for this or that or, whatever. But again, we never, as a board, get to find out, was the funds ever available? Did they ever fundraise to make that amount? And they might have a couple months to do that. So again, who is paying? We, the taxpayers, when that money could be utilized somewhere else in our education system. Not that I want to take away trips from our children, but, again, if, teachers or whoever are putting together this, they're going to have to start realizing their funds need to be available first.
Roll call vote on athletics and music.
Yes.
Here.
Yes. Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Not so fast.
Okay.
So fast, Madam President.
Thought I'd get out of here.
You knew we weren't going to slide out of here without anything, right? You finished?
Don't make me cry.
Oh, I won't. When Rachel was a little girl, she was.
Or
her parents are here for that. I'm getting ready. You took my thunder. I was going to introduce them, and Rachel's parents are back there. Jerry, Teresa, do you want to give a wave? All right. If she starts like a basket case, she's all yours. You know. No, seriously. This is a big night for Rachel and quite frankly for the district. She started, I have a whole list of things here. Bear with me. She started in this joyful run of December of 2017 for her first 4-year term, and she was reelected in December of she was reelected in November and then took another office in December of 2021 for her second 4-year term. She served a total of 8 years. Her second term is now expiring. Board members that Rachel has served alongside of, including around the table this evening, at one point we're here, in addition to the ones around the table, Maurice Gaskins, Brent Hosher, Cindy Huber, Stacy Meyer, Todd Staub, and Dave Treadle, who's also in the audience. Rachel was appointed president of the school board in December of 2021 and has held the presidency since that time. In her capacity as board president, Mrs. Rohrbal has served as an ex officio member of the board committees of the board. This next one is just fun. It shows you the level of detail that Suzanne Sterner is involved with. She has attended approximately 176 board meetings, putting in more than 350 hours to participate in standard monthly study and voting meetings. This does not include her participation in committee obligations, attendance at district events like graduation and opening day, athletic competitions, concerts, and the like. Mrs. Rohrbal has been a remarkable member of this board, an asset to the district, and a blessing to the Spring Grove community. She has been a mentor to newer board members and a constant voice of reason and continuity to 3 superintendents, including one acting one, as board president. She has consistently put our students first in her decisions and considerations as a board member. We are a better district because of her years of service. Thank you, Rachel, for your service. We wish you the absolute best in all that you do. And at this time, did you get a hat?
Thank you.
I don't think that's how it goes in the board like that. And also one of the cool colors. And for the note, this is one of the first ones, I think, that has the new logo.
Love it.
So,
Love it. Good
and
job,
did you
Sarah.
notice, like, when you go to the airport?
Yeah.
I bring the flowers over, but
There you go. They're gorgeous. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, so on behalf of the rest of the board, we wanted to present you with the flowers and also a little gift on our behalf. But I will say, I think most of us know Rachel very well, but she's one of the reasons why I sit here today. So she's just amazing. Her heart is pure gold. And if you ever walk the halls with Rachel in any of our schools, she knows every teacher, every child, and I don't know how it happens. Like there's just nobody that is as connected to this district as she is. So she really has given all of herself. She's taken a lot of time away from her family. So we very much appreciate it. No, I'm crying.
And I'd like to share, I can tell you, Nicole, why she knows everyone, because those two people back there, they know everyone too. And it's a long Spring Grove family with great legacy and great traditions. And I congratulate you because people like this don't get here without people like you. So there you go. She started clapping first, just for the record. So congratulations. Well done.
I don't really have anything to say, but thank you, Spring Grove, for giving me this opportunity. I really don't have anything to say other than thank you.
Come to Goofy's.
You got it. Yes. So
Purpose for a
in that spirit, I'm going to adjourn my final meeting. So motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor. Thank you.